Two practices.
I think kids have worked real hard. I mean, I've been, when you come in, I've tried to shut my ears and lock into what, I believe and so forth. And from an offensive group, I think they've worked real hard. I think that, the biggest focus that we have to do with the whole offensive group is fundamentally get better. We can talk about schemes all we want, but it's really not going to come down to that. As we got to be better technically, we got to make better decisions, and can't turn over the ball and the little things. And but I call them the big things. But fundamentally, in the last 2 days, they've worked hard. They've done what I've asked them to do, and it's similar to when I went to Minnesota, and not a whole lot of difference. You take one day at a time and get better.
Gio has the most on-field experience of these guys. Have you seen that translate in practice?
What's that now?
Gio has the most on-field experience of these guys. Have you seen that in practice?
Well, and again, not being here and knowing all those things, I think there's no question if he's played more, which he has, it's easier for him, because he's been on the field more than the others. And and it should be. It should be.
What do you need to see from Tylen Oden? Just getting to know him the last couple weeks since you've been here, and then in the first two practices. What do you need for him to take the next step?
Well, I think he's got to learn the knowledge of the game, and I think he is. Last year he was a freshman, and my understanding, freshmen, it's hard for freshmen to come in, and I think he's grown up. He needs to mature. I think he's matured over the last, even since I've been here, maybe over even the last 3 weeks, to really lock into what he's doing and learning football. And he hasn't made a lot of mental mistakes and things like that, but I just think learn the game, the basics of the game and the fundamentals of the game and so forth. But he's throwing the ball around pretty good.
When it comes to evaluating the quarterbacks, how much weight do you hold on spring practice?
A whole lot of weight, a whole lot of weight. To me, you're going to play. When you play a quarterback, you got to play a guy that's going to make decisions and is consistent. And so, we had day one, day two, and we need to see how consistent they are by, practice 15. And but that will have a lot to do with it. There's no question about that, And our first 2 days, as much as we've thrown at them and so forth, is that they've done a good job. But how about the 7th practice, 8th practice, the 9th practice when the grind sets in a little bit, and then you go into 2-a-day camp and the same thing. So really football's, a lot of it's like anybody does anything, it's mentally. I'm not worried about the physical part right now. I'm worried about the mental part of the quarterback and really offensive line, everything else we've got. There's some people there that can play, and they just got to get better fundamentally.
What kind of influence did you have on Janarian's decision to come back?
That was with Coach before I really got here and things like that. So I didn't have a lot of influence. I got a lot of influence now about getting him the ball. I know that. From watching film, and him half speed out here is faster than most guys full speed. So, he'll definitely be an impact in what we do. There's no doubt about it. I'm smart enough to make sure you get the ball in the best player's hand, and there's no question he's electrifying and a guy that we just need to get healthy. But it's good to see him out here in the spring, just doing enough to stay sharp.
After seeing him for a couple of days, how different are the quarterback skill sets, and how does that weigh into your decision of who do you want to run the offense?
Ask that question again.
How different are their skill sets when you look at a guy like Oden and Gio and Zach Allen?
Oh, it's I think they're all a little bit different, and so forth. But what I see a lot of people. Gio runs a lot better than I thought he'd run. I didn't know he ran that well, as far as speed wise, and of course Tylen runs pretty good, and so Zach's made good decisions, and we can just go down the ladder, and I just we're going to put the best player on the field again that is a consistent guy that don't turn over the football and moves the chains and takes command of what we're trying to do.
Coach, what have you seen out of this wide receiver group so far? You got a couple new guys in there.
Well, I think those guys are really going to be good players. I really do. They got to learn, because they one's set out a year or one's transferring in, so they have a lot to learn, but they've got ability. And then we're short a receiver right now because we got a young man playing baseball. We're thin at that position, but that's why we went out and recruited 7 wide receivers, and those guys got some talent. So I anticipate. I wish they were all here right now. It'd be a lot easier.
Jerry, what's your relationship like right now with Jonathan Lewis? I know he's not here, but he figures pretty prominently into the quarterback mix once he gets here. Do you guys talk regularly?
Oh yeah, we talk. Yep, and he was here today, and watch practice and visit with him and things of that nature. You want to be careful. We want him to finish up school strong and do all the things that he needs to do, and certainly when he gets here, that'll be the best time. But yeah, we've got a good relationship. I think that's why he kept with his commitment, and we got a lot of good players coming in. We need some more speed. We got speed recruited. So again, I'm anxious to. I wish they were all took out in December and they were all here, but we just got to wait a little bit.
So following up with the question asked about evaluating the quarterbacks, at the end of spring, if you have a number one guy in mind, is it possible by August that a freshman can even take over the job?
The best answer I can give you, we're going to put the best player on the field. If it's my wife and she's the best player, we'll play her.
Does she have eligibility left?
She might. I have a red shirt year.
Jerry,
Two more
what do you see for the HVAC? That's new to this offense. How do you envision that working?
Well, it's a position that's very multiple, where a lot of that came back a little bit from the Minnesota days, but a lot from being at K-State and how they use their guy. But a guy that can line up in a lot of different places and do a lot of different things. And I also want one that can carry the ball some. And got to be smart, good blocker, good knowledge of the game. And we moved a couple guys over from linebacker, and they've done a good job. And then, of course, we recruited, I think for the first time ever, kind of a fullback type guy. And so, but he just makes you more multiple. We can do a lot of things, from an offensive standpoint. With you got tight ends and you got receivers and you got a fullback. You can be very multiple in what you do formation-wise.
As a follow-up on that, you're a Midwestern guy, you've coached in the Midwest a lot. Does it help in the Midwest or the Northeast to have an offense like that can be physical when it gets to November and it gets to the season?
Yeah, when you get in the weather and all those kind of things, I mean, you gotta. It all comes back to this: is that when you got weather and things of that nature, you gotta be a physical football team. And you look at Ohio State; they're a physical football team. Anyway, you want to cut it. Michigan's a physical football team. So you got to have physicality to whatever you do, kicking game, defense, offense, the whole thing. So, Coach has done a great job. I came here and, there's not a whole lot of difference. And I've been doing it for, I've head coach 22 years, and there's not any, as far as philosophy and how to do it and what to do and all that kind of stuff. You always talk about a good fit. I've been a good fit because, me and him think a lot alike in what we're trying to accomplish and expectations and so I think I've been fortunate. I think it's a good blend. You might have to ask him that. He might tell you something different, but I think it's been pretty good.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.